in my opinion, at this moment, the big thing for all the big elevator companies is that they want to go with the lifts in the cloud. And that's not that the lift is going up in the cloud, but it's that all the data of lifts is coming in the cloud, and it's important data for maintenance. And I believe the sky is the limit. If people ask me, what do you think over 5 years? Then mostly I say, I don't know what it is over 5 years, because when you look back, and what you see is that there are more things achieved in the past than we could ever think about 5 till 10 years ago. My idea is, especially for building owners, is the big thing is how to lower your operational costs and improve the performance of your lifts. And we do that at this moment. All the elevator companies use IoT, machine learning, and things like that, algorithms in the maintenance process. And I think this is very important at the moment. A little bit about Liftinsight. We are Liftinsight. Our idea is to reinvent lift performance. We're located in Rotterdam and work worldwide with our solution. Okay, here I show you some components of lifts. And the thing is, I want to show you that you see the components of lifts. And the question is, do you know what it is and what it does? And building owners, they don't have the expertise about elevators mostly, because they will have to know everything about the building, about the roof, about the painting, about plumbing, and so on, and also lifts. And so the discussion, the talk about lifts with the elevator companies is not on an equal way, because the elevator company knows everything about lifts and the building owner knows a little bit about lifts, and that cannot be a real good conversation. So I have some ideas about that. The big four in the elevator industry in Europe, but also worldwide, are Otis, Kone, Thyssen, and Schindler. And I will tell you something about their strategies and what they are doing. And I think it's important for you to know what is the strategy of the big elevator companies at the moment. And it was also in the past their strategy, but technology will help them in their strategy. What you see is that Otis, the world leader in the market, has connected sensors. They call the solution Otis One. And what they do is making capital planning with which components and which maintenance you need in the future and what are the costs of it. And they are doing that with a connector in the elevator. So they make a connection with the controller of the elevator, and that way they have lots of information about the lifts. And Kone is not doing that, but not Kone. Otis is not doing that alone, but also Schindler. Schindler, the product the name of the product is Schindler Ahead, and it's nearly the same. But Schindler can also get information from other brands, not only Schindler, but also other brands. But it's only when you have a contract, a maintenance contract with Schindler. And Thyssen has the Max, and that's also an IoT solution to have lots of data from the controller of the elevator. And if you have a contract with Thyssen Group, you can have lots of information about the lift, and Thyssen knows lots about your lift, and they can do the maintenance based on that data. At this moment, they don't do that. All the elevator companies, they don't do that. They are gathering data for this year and the next years, and after some years, they will use that for doing the maintenance on a more efficient way. And then we have Kone, and I think Kone is by far a winner in this market. They have a product called 24/7. They have lots of lifts working in that area, it's not only Kone lifts, but also lifts from other brands. Most of the big elevator companies, they do maintenance primarily on their own lifts, but also on other brand elevators. And Kone and Schindler, they have a solution to have data from other brands. And they do that by sensors because it's too difficult to have connectors on all brands of elevators in the controller. I think I tell you something about the worldwide elevator market because the big thing in this is that what I see is that if we look at the market of buildings, that the costs of a lift by building a new building is 2%, and also in terms of maintenance, the costs of lifts are 2% of the total maintenance cost of a building. So that's not a big amount of money, and that makes that this market is that it has a special position. Worldwide, the sales of elevators, the new elevators in 2018 was $104 billion. And it was in 2017, 100 billion dollar. And what's important is that service is nearly the half of the revenue. So, and the revenue is, you see it, 51 billion in 2018 and 49 in the year before. So what you see is that they make their profit not with the new lifts, but just from maintenance. And my idea always about this market is it's the same as you buy a printer. The printer is not that cheap, not that the printer is cheap, but if you are going to use it and you want to have new toner, that will make the costs, and that's the business model. And here is the same. So if you sell an elevator to a building owner, then there's a big chance that you have the maintenance for, let's say, 20 years, and you can make profit in it. And I think that's important to know if you are a building owner, that the profit is in the service, and that you can save a lot of money in the service, because there is it's not that efficient as we always think, and that's important. What you see at the right side is that you see that Otis is the #1, then Schindler, then Kone, then Thyssen, and worldwide, it's not in Europe, but worldwide, Hitachi is #5. In Europe, I think it's Mitsubishi. Okay, next. What we see, the trends. What we see is that there is a rapid technical innovation. Kone and Schindler are in the Forbes list of the most innovative 500 companies in the world, and I think that's important because which market has two companies in that list of 500 most innovative companies? Why do they are so innovative? They build technology that they can shield, so that it's their technology and it's difficult to do maintenance on lifts from other brands, and then you are sure that you have the maintenance, and that's the strategy. So there's a big vendor lock-in, and what they are doing, they are making the lifts more and more energy efficient. And the underlying goal, in my opinion, is to bind customers through technology. If we want to disrupt the elevator market, then there are some issues. The maintenance, what I told you, the first thing, maintenance is the cash cow for the elevator companies. So if we want to disrupt that market, we have to focus on the maintenance. It's not that you have to focus on new elevators, but mainly on the maintenance. The fear by the building owner for malfunctions, that's used to sell expensive maintenance contracts and also components, change of components and so on to the building owner. because the building owner has to do lots of things, and the lift is a little thing, but very strategic. If the lift is broken, then you have a big problem in a building. So the fear for malfunction is used to sell expensive maintenance. And vendor lock-in is used to shield the maintenance. And if we want to break the power of the multinational lifting companies, then I think we have to use universal solution, and we have to demand universal solutions so that you can ask other companies to do maintenance on your lift. So what we do as a Liftinsight is we have a universal solution. And what you see here is up on the round up is a lift box placed on the top of the elevator, and on the right side you see a blue box in the door, and we read the ups and the downs and the door openings and closings of lifts. No matter which brand, no matter the age of the lift, no matter who maintains it, who owns it, we have a solution that works always. And that's what we are doing to break the vendor lock-in of the big elevator companies. Here you see the results scheduled in graphics. The number of runs, the number of door openings, the moment we are doing maintenance, and you see at the right side, you see the door openings on the floors. This is an elevator with 4 floors, and then we can see which floor is used more and which is less, and that's because we do maintenance on doors. Lift doors are they need very much attention when you're doing maintenance, because this is a moving part of the elevator that also has contact with the user of the elevator. And if there are problems with lifts, it's 50%. It's a door problem. So when you see on which floor the door is opening more and which is less, then you can have the attention to these floors on the moment where the doors are used more and more. Good. My idea, and that's what I showed you, all the components in the beginning of my presentation. My idea is you don't want an elevator and certainly no maintenance, because you want to have uptime. So my idea is don't buy elevators, buy uptime, and put that in a contract and say, okay, I want to have uptime for, let's say, 20 years with an availability of 99.8 or 99.9%. And the guarantee that it meets the applicable legal requirements, because this is important for safety, and also a independent proof that what you have bought, that you got that by data IoT in an independent way. So I think this is important for a building owner to know, and then you don't have a vendor lock-in. So this is my presentation. We are believing that data is changing the world. This is very big, and I think this is also data used to have the vendor lock-in. So try to get data out of your lifts, and I think it's for all your components in your building, but especially for lifts. Try to get that without a vendor lock-in. Also, when you change the contract, when you go to another maintenance company, that you keep your data and that it's not a part of the contract. So after you cancel your contract, that you have for a long time all your data. That's what we are doing, and that's what I think it's important to see what are the strategies of these elevator companies. I try to cancel my presentation, and I'm going to the Q&A. So I don't see any questions at the moment, but
hi, Alderik. No, we haven't had any questions come through, but I did have one question for you based on kind of your closing statements there around ownership of data, and especially when it comes to maintenance contracts on elevators. Who do you typically see as owning the data right now? Is it the client or is it considered to be the service company? And how does that usually end up?
That's a good question. Okay, it's an important question and it's a legal question. But what in my opinion is the lift owned by the building owner because they bought the lift, so it's their lift. So when the lift is producing data, in my opinion, this is the data of the building owner. But what you see is that many lift companies, they see it as their data. And that's the reason why they cancel the data after the contract. But and what we do as Liftinsight, we say in our terms and conditions, we say the data is owned by nobody, and anybody who is involved with the lift can always put in their data and can also get out the data because we can have an Excel export or an API, but anyway, you can get your data out. So that's what we do as Liftinsight, but that's not what all the elevator companies do. So I think it's important if you use the data of the elevator company to make a contract that it's your data as a building owner. Okay, thank you. How about car elevators in parkings? Is there more added value in this sector? Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same as all the components in a building. It's a component, and I think it's important to have no much malfunctions or a high uptime. Because when you live in a building and you want to go to your work or doing shopping, then you want to use the parking. So it's important that if you can measure things, and my idea is IoT is measuring, and if you measure things, that's always better than doing guess. Okay, then the question, can you describe the trend regarding total cost of ownership of lifts and elevators? Lifts, yeah, okay. Is data science already contributing to lowering cost? Of course, very good. Thank you for the question, Frank. It depends on the type of contract and it depends on your elevator, but what we see from studies, not only from us, but also from the big elevator companies. I've seen studies from, for example, Kona, that you see that you can lower the total cost of ownership by 30 till 50% if you do the maintenance based on data. So the classical way is we do, let's say, a number of visits, 8 service visits or 6 service visits, but it's always too high. And when you do it based on the number of runs, the usage of the elevator, you can lower that, and it can be till 50%. Okay, how much money can the lift owner save? Like go from 2% cost or 5.1, yeah, maybe 1. Now, okay, my quick out, it's an anonymous attendee, I see, but okay, thanks for the question. I think it's more, and it's not. And when you see my presentation, you see that the elevator companies make 50% margin on the maintenance. And I think there are no other markets where you can say that companies are making that lot of margin on maintenance, and that's the reason why there is much air in it, and we can lower that by measuring what's happening and do all the maintenance activity based on what's really what's the real situation.